Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Now we know that Prince Harry's promo for his interviews have dropped. He's going to be speaking with his friend with ITV, Tom Bradby, his friend with ITV News, and then there's going to be an interview with 60 Minutes, Anderson Cooper. For me, I think Harry, he is so far down the rabbit hole that he doesn't realize that he is at a point now where he can't return. He can never go back to what it was unless he is without his wife, moving forward, trying to wrap up the faults and the errors of his ways. So we know that's never going to happen. He's never going to be able to do that now. And not that he has children now. That's never going to happen for him. And I don't think he really sees how bad it really is. He really is like he's in the swirling of his nonsense in his head right now, speaking and trying to talk about it, but he's never going to get out of it. He doesn't understand that he has made the biggest mistake of his life. The biggest mistake of his life. Because no one's going to come and vouch for you. No one's going to come and validate what you're saying as being, oh yeah, good, Harry. Good for you. Good for you. Because the more they talk, the more it's just like, for real, you are saying all of these things about your family. Not understanding that, you're a man. You are somebody who needs to stop talking about what people have done to you. But take ownership. Take responsibility for your actions. But he wants to keep blaming. He and his wife have done this narrative over and over again. And it is not going to fare well for him. It just is not. And like I said, with the popcorn, we're sitting here and we are just watching the reality show of these two. The 90-minute special will be broadcast 2 days before Harry's autobiography, Spare, is published on January 10th as part of a publicity trail for the tell-all. I mean, I think I mentioned it briefly when I talked about the documentary, but he talked about how he didn't really get to know his mother much. I mean, he's been alive longer with his mother being dead than when she was alive. His memories, what he remembers of his mother, is very minimal. He wants to compare his wife to his mother all the time, like they were so much alike. No, because the fuzz of who your mother was is not clear in your head, and you're trying to make the correlation between your mother and your wife, but the correlation is just not there. It's not there. And Harry is just drowning in a fog that is never going to become clear to him. It's going to stay fuzzy and fog, and it's never going to be like, oh, I see it clearly now. It's going to be like, yeah, my mother was like this, and I think she was, I remember, maybe, yeah. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, my wife is a little bit like that too. Yeah. Okay. And it's this constant guessing and struggle with trying to bring it together, because there's a very intentional act happening with him trying to make the correlation between his wife and his mother. But it's not there, because they're completely different women, different time frames, different everything about them that will never align well with, oh, they're very much alike. They are polar worlds apart from each other that will never line up the way Harry wants them to. And until he realizes it, he will always be in this fog of trying to correlate it to make sense for him. Just won't make sense.
It never needed to be this way. The leaking and the planting.
It never needed to be this way. You're right. You can rephrase this and say, I never needed to do what I did. Because then it would never be this way. You see, just turn it back on yourself. Turn it back on how you can be the one showing accountability for it. Then he goes on to say,
I want a family, not an institution.
And it's so ironic. So if you want a family and you don't want an institution, then get rid of your title. Get rid of being the Duke, because that's part of the institution. Just become Harry Windsor. I'm Harry Windsor, and I just want to be with my family. That's what you can do. But you're not doing that because you're trying to have both worlds. And you can't have your foot in one world and your foot in another world and try to find peace and harmony. It's not going to happen. So like he's contradicting himself yet once again.
They feel as though it's better to keep us somehow as the villains.
And this is what he's saying, right? Yeah, keep you as a villain. You want to believe that you are a villain. But really, if you look at yourself realistically, you are essentially the one that has slept with Satan. Like you reach and roll over every day and see her. She's looking at you in the face every day when you wake up. But essentially, you just got to look to your wife because you're sleeping with the villain. Yeah, you are the villain. You are the villain. You married the villain, and the villain that you married has put you in this situation. You can't tell me the one different denominator between your brother, your sister-in-law, and you. When this woman came into the picture, this is when it all went to crap. Because before Megan came into the picture, there was peace and harmony with the world. There was nothing wrong. But when that part of the equation came into the mix, this is when all the problems began. They've shown no willingness to reconcile. Why should they want to reconcile with you, Harry? Why? Why? They're doing their work. They're getting on with life. They're making a difference. They're doing their service. They are just doing the things that they did always. There's no need to reconcile with you because you're in your fog right now. Your fog of stupidness is engulfed you in your brain. Because you reconciling with you at this point really doesn't really bring anything good to the world. It brings more of you talking about your family, talking about things that should not be out there, that should not be spoken about. It brings you to, think that you are above everyone else, that your wife did the job better than anyone else. Like there's no reconciling with you right now in your stupidness. It just won't fare well for anybody. So you just need to stay off in Montecito in your mini bathrooms. And that's where you need to stay because that's where you fare best right now. Because you're in a fog of stupid. And then he goes on to say, I would like to get my father back. I would like to have my brother back. And isn't it just so ironic? Isn't it just so ironic that here Harry Windsor is talking about wanting to get his father back and wanting to get his brother back when his wife has done the same thing to her own father. Yes, and her own siblings. And now Harry is in the exact same situation. Like, when is he going to realize the villain is his wife? Telling his wife, I want my father back and I want my brother back, woman. That's where he needs to be addressing his issue because this is where it all has begun for him. And if anyone can see that she is the cause of the problem, just look at how she has done her own life. One of the things that we say to young children about their future, show me your friends and I will show you your future. In Harry's situation, show me your wife and I'm going to show you your future. You look at how your wife has treated her own family. This is how you're going to treat your family. Isn't that what we have, folks? There is nothing that can be reconciled with how he is looking at the world. He needs to wake up in the morning, look his wife dead in her eyes and say, you're the villain. You're the bad guy. You're the one that has caused this situation that I am in right now. But the mere fact that you are sitting down and you are speaking so openly about the things that have happened to you and your family is a portrayal of your family. And then you wonder why you feel betrayed while you sit there in real time betraying your own family like it don't make no sense. What is wrong with you? And he's like a zombie giving these interviews. My whole thing is as we sit and watch him in these interviews on 60 Minutes, with Tom Bradby, with ITV. Just watch a man who is essentially hypnotized by the Jezebel that took over his whole being and state. She's right there. Sometimes you gotta Look inwardly. Sometimes you got to look to the people closest to you to really find the enemy. Harry is looking not in the right direction to find the person or the people that put him in this predicament that he's going to be speaking about. All he needs to do is look within his own home to find the true enemy that got him in this predicament.